Hey, crypto traders, checking in on the space. The bulls were able to maintain control over the weekend, continuously grinding higher and proving me wrong in the short term in the process. The last video we were talking about how bulls were looking a bit tired, so we'll look back in hindsight as far as what the clues were, and we'll also go over what I'm going to call the frustration pattern, which the bulls have been able to keep control of, and I'll tell you why it's frustration. So it was my favorite kind of being wrong, which is the kind of wrong where I don't lose any money. I wasn't shorting and I wasn't selling any longs, but the last time we checked in on Friday, we saw a little bit of bull exhaustion, and it was marked by an inside bar on the daily time frame breaking bull with the big upper wick, and then it followed through over the weekend because we had another inside bar with a bull break with another big upper wick and no follow through. Today, the bulls are getting some follow through. So looking back in hindsight, on the hourly time frame, we know bull breaks have us scouting rising wedges, bull breaks that lack follow through. So this is the pattern that I was watching over the weekend. The most notable thing was that on the rejections, the bears were not able to take out 4-hour higher lows. So this is the pattern that I was watching, and we can see a bull break by an insignificant amount. Got real tight. We had a convincing bull break that gave it all back. We then tested support, and then bulls took over, back tested previous resistance as support, and here we are now potentially forming an hourly bull flag and looking up at 58,000. The next resistance level on the daily time frame is 58, just above 58,000 right here from the high of May 12th. So essentially it's a rising wedge that broke bull. And if we look at it on the 4-hour time frame, again, we had a higher low, and every time we pulled back, the bulls were able to maintain higher lows. So yes, the bulls were tired in the sense that once we broke resistance, there was nobody left to buy and there wasn't a significant amount of shorts left to cover. But on any pullbacks, bulls were aggressively buying dips. So the bulls were still playing defense, not allowing a loss of those 4-hour higher lows and keeping control. And I'm going to call this the frustration pattern, because there are two groups of people that are frustrated. The only people not frustrated are bulls in their positions. Bulls looking for positions are really frustrated, and shorts, of course, are very frustrated because we just keep grinding higher. There's no daily consolidation. We now have a higher low every day for 7 days in a row, and bulls trying to get in are unable to do so unless they're playing off 4-hour supports. And of course, any shorts making an entry are just getting perpetually stopped out, or they're underwater and sweating a bit. So 58, 59.6, and then psychological levels up to the all-time high. We're currently about 15% or so away from an all-time high. So is it possible we just shoot up to an all-time high test from here? That is a possibility. We're not too overextended. I can look at the daily RSI and say, generally since the all-time high, we have pulled back in the low 70s, and that's the case. But look at the RSI cool off here. We hit 70 and the RSI went from 70 down to 65. All the while the price just grinded higher. So we're not too overextended on any RSI levels that say we can't head to an all-time high from here. If I'm a bull, you have to determine if you're aggressive or conservative, because a conservative bull is just going to wait for daily consolidation. And there's a lot of bulls that are going to be waiting for daily consolidation for entries, in my opinion. And I may even look to increase position size on daily consolidation. If you are looking to be aggressive, you're playing off of 4-hour supports, because again, they keep holding, and losing the 4-hour uptrend will be the first indication of daily consolidation. And if we don't lose the 4-hour uptrend, we're not going to see daily consolidation. We're also going to be watching first hourly oversold conditions as a back burner trade. We dropped down in the hourly RSI, got down to the low 40s. And again, just looking at the short-term time frames, look at the 15-minute RSI on this rising wedge that never broke bear. We just never got oversold. Bulls were aggressively buying dips. We dipped right down to just above 30 multiple times, and bulls bought the dip every time. And even the 5-minute, yes, it did get oversold, but very briefly, and it would result in pretty solid bounces. You can see, the RSI did get beat up here. It dropped all the way down to the low 20s, but it went straight into a $1,000 bounce, $900 bounce. So bulls are aggressively buying dips and keeping pressure on shorts. There was an ETF approved at the end of last week, but it's not the ETF we're watching for. It's an ETF related to companies that have exposure to crypto, like Tesla or Twitter or whoever else. So just don't read that headline and get confused, because we don't have a decision on the ETFs that we're waiting on at this point. And again, if we keep running up with no daily consolidation and then we get an ETF approval, I would expect a bull reaction in the short term into consolidation. Because again, if we have not seen any daily consolidation into that event, we will reach a point, in my opinion, where a few hours after that news comes out, who is left to buy at that point? So what I would like to see is an inability to break the all-time high, some daily consolidation, have some overconfident shorts pile in, and then if we were to get an ETF approval, I would expect continuation, bulls buying, and a good number of fresh shorts that would then have to cover. So the frustration pattern, slow grind up, and you'll see this a lot of times in bullish environments. I just put out a video over the weekend about trading wedges, both falling and rising wedges. And one of the major aspects was you need to see a longer term time frame that favors the wedge to be the most likely scenario. So if I'm looking for a daily lower high right now, if we were in a setup, that 4-hour rising wedge would mean a lot more to me. But there's no daily resistance nearby, and we're in a monthly, weekly, and daily uptrend at this point. So that rising wedge has a lot less probability of playing out than it would if we were looking for a daily lower high, if we were extended on the 4-hour RSI, and then it was forming. So again, check out that video on our YouTube channel for more detail in terms of trading wedges. So the dominance chart continues to go up. 4-hour pulled back, sideways consolidation, and now fresh highs. So what is that showing us? It's showing us that Bitcoin is leading the way to the upside, and we're seeing a couple things. On the hourly consolidation here, let's just look from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., my local time, we did drop a little bit. So what that shows us is altcoins dropping less than Bitcoin. The relationship has drastically changed over the last week between altcoins and the dominance chart. And again, for me personally, that's a big vote of confidence in terms of an ETF likely to being approved. But we're seeing Bitcoin going up more than altcoins, not all of them, but most of them as an aggregate, and then pulling back more as well. So it's definitely a little bit more disconnected, and coins are doing their own thing individually. And I am watching for Bitcoin to continue to maintain dominance until all-time highs. What I would expect to happen is once we hit all-time highs, whether it's in 3 days or whether it's in 2 weeks, I would then expect the dominance chart to go up with all the attention on Bitcoin up into the all-time highs as long as we keep hitting new highs. And then once we see notable daily consolidation with a little fear flush, first hourly oversold conditions, I would look for then a sideways range to be established on the daily, a range that we can trade within for days, and then I look for the rotation into the altcoins. So that's something that is not in play right now because we're not in blue sky breakout. But if we do get blue sky breakout, that's the sequence of events that I'm going to be looking for as far as when to be focusing on Bitcoin and then when to be focusing on altcoins. And for me, it will be buying the bounce in the altcoins as Bitcoin is looking for a daily higher low and then hoping Bitcoin bounces but trades sideways while altcoins get their turn to run. ETH/USD, so daily higher low trying to be set, but we do have to confirm a 4-hour trend change. Significant bounce from hourly oversold conditions early this morning or late last night, but we need a 4-hour trend change. Inside bar at the moment. If they break bear, we scout a higher low, and then we have to confirm the trend change if we're going to have hopes of breaking the double top on the daily, because it's a very clear double top of resistance, and the bulls definitely want to get over that level as opposed to losing the daily uptrend with the daily double top still remaining. So 4-hour trend change needed. Bulls scouting a higher low, but the follow through is needed, and ETH/BTC is not helping. It's a very clear 4-hour downtrend. Every single bounce that we see gives us a lower high. So as long as that is the case, we know Bitcoin is the place to be for the bulls. And as far as the daily RSI, we're approaching oversold. And again, watch that weekly level or the 2-week time frame that I'm watching, and that's 0.055. So if daily oversold conditions shape up and there's a play off of that support level, I will be paying attention a lot more. But for now, it's just bears keeping absolute control with the clear 4-hour downtrend. SHIB USDT, I don't care what you think about the coin. This is where the trading opportunity is as far as significant volatility. We had a nice 4-hour equilibrium. I think the last video we checked in, we were scouting the 4-hour lower high. It was set, and we then got the higher low. And it was a fun place to be over the weekend, watching a bunch of Chart Guys members getting this 4-hour higher low all together. And then we broke bull. I was in the middle of making the wedge video. Otherwise, I would have participated. I almost did, but I was distracted making content. So we got a 12-hour equilibrium bull break. And now we're just looking back up to the high of 3528. And some people still have runners from that 4-hour higher low, sell a little bit into the bounce, put a stop under the low, and still in those positions. Lots of space for a 4-hour higher low here. And again, regardless of any opinion, there is significant volatility to trade this coin in both directions. And from that low, we went 30% in just a couple days. So, I mean, the bull moves and the bear moves, 40% pullback into a 45% bounce, into a 20% pullback. It's just a trader's dream as far as volatility in both directions. And SHIB BTC is doing the same thing. The bull break is a little bit less convincing on the 12-hour time frame. So continuing to keep an eye out for clues, because again, even though the relationship has changed between alts and Bitcoin, we still have clues from our BTC pairings. And remember the last video, we were looking for Sol to give us a weekly lower high because the BTC pairing was way weaker than the US dollar pairing. And it had already set a weekly lower high long in advance. So now, since we last checked in, Sol gave us a daily lower high, confirmed a daily downtrend, and weekly consolidation is underway. Lower high set, 177.79, and now we're going to scout a higher low, anything above 116. And the BTC pairing gave a clue as to what direction to be looking in because it was leading the way to the downside, notably. XRP USDT was a lead bull over the weekend. Short-lived move, but want to keep an eye on this as an example because the daily bull break took place and we had a nice little 4-hour uptrend, but giving a lot of that back. And if you look at the XRP BTC move, it was all bears, a bull move where they kept control for 24 hours, and now we're giving a lot of it back. So a move for day traders and short-term traders to pay attention to. But why do we care about this? Because the BTC pairing was extremely weak. And ADA, which a lot of people are watching, is similar. It's just all bears. And these moves often happen fast and out of nowhere as far as big time spikes on the BTC pairings. But again, it's just short-lived unless we get trend changes and follow through. So ADA BTC, you can view this as a stair-step pattern to the downside. And again, there's a YouTube video that we've got specific to this strategy, and it worked really well on QQQ today, stock market world on the 5-minute time frame. But it's not official because we did see a tiny little higher high here, but that's something that as a technical analyst, I just say, no, I'm viewing this as a lower high every single day for the last 16 days. And it will be very notable to me when that pattern breaks as far as a weekly bounce trying to take place. But for now, the bears just have absolute complete control. And we know RSI levels on BTC pairings can certainly get more extended than on US dollar pairings. And that's what we've got going on ADA right now. And you can be looking at that pattern for a lot of individual coins. Link BTC, all bears still. So XRP gave an example of the ideal scenario for a fast move out of nowhere, shifting momentum, but just have to be cautious because it was short-lived and you want to be locking in some profit when that is the case. So all eyes still on Bitcoin, all eyes on ETF decisions, all eyes on the dominance chart. We'll be looking for a Bitcoin daily high or low. I don't think we'll see hourly oversold conditions without significant front running of that once daily consolidation starts on Bitcoin. And I do believe that until we get some resolution as to Bitcoin clearly failing an all-time high or Bitcoin getting that all-time high, I don't think altcoins, aside from the individual coin here or there, I don't think we're going to see altcoins as a whole get a significant move to the upside. And again, there's tons of altcoins that are scouting weekly lower highs. And just looking at Ethereum, you know, that weekly resistance level is over 10% away. And there's a lot of altcoins that have, it's actually more like 15% away. But there's a lot of altcoins that have 30% to go to weekly resistance. And I'm imagining a scenario, what would it take for those altcoins in this current environment to go 30% for a weekly higher high like Bitcoin saw? And aside from individual news of an individual coin, I don't see the altcoin space as a whole doing that unless it's Bitcoin raging to all-time highs and euphoria sector-wide. So that's where we stand in the short term. We'll check back in shortly. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to do good things. See you next time.